I'm Clarke Speaks, the catastrophic injury lawyer. Welcome to The Verdict. Hi, I'm Clarke Speaks. Welcome to The Verdict. Today I'm here with Demetrius Farrior. Demetrius is a fitness expert, a mental health advisor, and he is just a phenomenal person that's going to talk to us today about um, overcoming adversity and living your best life. Welcome, Demetrius. I'm happy you're here.
Oh, thank you, Clarke. Nice to be here.
Talk to me about what you do, what you're passionate about, and how it sort of and how you go about helping people.
Well, I'm passionate about getting people healthy and getting people fit. I have a lot of cousins and friends. As you guys know, the older we get, we have to start watching our health and mental health. And I've been noticing probably the past 10 years, I've been having a lot of family members, pass away at a young age. And it's been really bothering me. And I started, you know, DFIT, Demetrius Farrier's island training, which is turned over to Demetrius Farrier's Institute for Transformation recently. And I started that trying to help people because I moved to Carolina Beach. They were like bartenders, servers, and they had really bad eating habits, sleeping habits because they worked like midday, like 3 to 12 at night. So I started helping people on the island. Then it turned over to helping people that worked from home. And then it turned over to people that were like handicapped, were paralyzed. Then it turned over to people that worked from home. And then it turned over to mental health. So going back to what I was talking about with the helping my cousins and friends, they're passing at the age of started passing away at the age of 30. And then I was like, And then they started passing away soon at 40. And now at 50, it's like I'm having people in my family and cousins, I'm looking online and they're passing away, heart disease, diabetes, and just things that we can fix. And the sad part about it, guys, is they text me 2 years and weeks before they pass away, wanting my help, and then they never get to me. And I look on Facebook or Instagram and I see just passed away or the obituary. And I have all my messages where they text me saying, I need your help. And I say, come in tomorrow. And they say, well, how much is it? I say, don't worry about how much it costs. Come in tomorrow. So that's my passion. And that's why I'm driven to do what I need to do because I had a big awakening. I was laying in bed 2 years ago and God said, you got to help them. And I'm going to give you this. You stop drinking. I'm going to give you this. And I was like, what? He said, just do it.
Well, so that's one of the reasons why I got interested in talking to you is because I've seen, I've been following you on social media for a while, and I've seen a transformation from some of your clients that you've helped really make some, like you can see visually that these people have made unbelievable progress, right? They were here and now they are here. And you can see in their face this mental health improvement that you're talking about. You can see in their pictures the physical improvements that they've made. And so then I started following you more closely, and I can see that you had personal experience with this, and you've had a personal transformation yourself. So you were probably your first client. Is that fair to say?
Yes. I was my first client. I had broken my arm probably 33 years ago, and it was they had to put a steel rod in there. Doctor said that I would never be able to lift weights again.
Had you been a weightlifter before that?
I started lifting weights since I was 9 years old. And I started lifting weights at 9 years old because I got picked at, I was bullied, and I saw this incredible man on TV one day. His name was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow, man. I'm me and you both, man. You remember that? You see those guys, Franco Columbo and
Oh
some of those guys?
man, Pumping Iron, Conan was the first. And I said, if I look like that guy, nobody would ever mess with me again. But not thinking on the physical side, but when I started lifting, my mental health got stronger. I got more confidence. I was able to speak to people more without shying away. So just those improvements, noticing through the years of just not only the physical change, it changes your mental state. And that's what started my transformation through the years because to go back before that, I started training at 9. I grew up in this place called Castle Hayne, and it was a lot of people from Vietnam veterans. They back then they used to drink a lot of wine, but we call them winos, right? So I would train in the back of my yard. I had these cement weights and I had this like bench. And so I would train like the winos. They would like walk through the yard and see me working out, and I would help the winos train. So those were my first clients, were training the winos in the country in Castle Hayne. So through the years, I started training people. Um, I faked my age at my first gym. You needed to be 15 with a parent signature. And so I wanted to work out at the gym so bad. I said I was 16, and I back then you could like fill out anything. They didn't have the
Sure, yeah, yeah.
technology. So I said I was 16. So I started working out at this gym. It was off of Wilshire. It was Gold's Gym off of Wilshire, and I started training there, and then just listening to other people, I just and reading muscle magazines. That's where I got my information from, and just the old guys from in there, and that's where I started my personal training, was just working out with people.
So your experience was this: you people picked on you. You found a way to a solution, and you found that the way that I can solve this problem is by becoming physically strong. But meant and then you did that. And you worked out and you got big. Did it have the desired effect that you thought it would? In other words, where you did people stop picking on you? And then tell me about that and how it affected your mental health going forward.
Well, it had a really bad but really good impact. So this is what happens when you get in super physical shape. So during junior high, I was built like a grown man. So in junior high, I was 15, and I was this height since I was this height since I was in 8th grade. So I looked like a grown man. So since junior high, I started getting more respect. I started playing more sports. And then after that, the girls happened. So when you start getting more respect, the mental side of those things, but I ducked all of that during high school. I ducked all the women. I was focused. I got through high school, but after high school, I started getting more attention. That's why I say when I train people, I train a lot of bodybuilders and I train a lot of regular people, and I warn them and I say, with a regular body, if I train you and if I give you this body, you have to stay humble. Because what happens is when you start changing your body, it starts changing your mindset, and you forget where you come from and you get a lot of attention. You have to be able to control that attention. And the only reason why I survived is because I had this body since I was 9 years old. So I was used to the attention. You give somebody a body, you train somebody that's never been in shape before, they're 22 years old, and then you give them a body, a shape, and they start getting attention, it can mess with your mental health. You can go in either direction. So that's why I said the mental state is very important with training. You have to be ready to be physically fit, and it's very structured. And that's where the productivity comes in, organizing your car, organizing your home, everything. When you start organizing your body, everything around you, your friends get organized. Your friends get better. They're more into what you like to do. So that's when I started changing everything. I started changing my body and my friends.
So my brother is a big fitness guy. He's always has been, even when we were kids. He was very similar to what the experience that you're describing. He was kind of tall. He was skinny, and then at about 8, 9 years old, he found that same. I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger had a book, and then Franco Columbu had another book they were both bodybuilders at the time, and they had these books.
Encyclopedia of a bodybuilder.
Yep, and is that probably it? Is that
That's it, is that thick.
yeah, yeah. Okay. And so he started working out and training, and he had a similar experience to yours. But what he always used to say is that when you're trying to be disciplined and you're trying to organize your life and you're trying to make good decisions that lead you where you want to go, mental discipline is harder than physical discipline. Physical discipline is easier because you can sort of say, these are the things I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 20 push-ups. I'm going to do 10 pull-ups. I'm going to get in the gym for an hour. I'm going to get it. But then the mental discipline is harder. But when you start the physical discipline, then the mental discipline becomes more easily to achieve. Would you agree with that concept?
I totally agree with it because you start with the physical, and it's hard to start with the physical because you have to open up the gym door. You have to make that connection. Make the connection. When you make that connection to do it, you have to do it. You walk into the gym. When you walk into the gym, then you go back the next day. That's where the consistency happens. That's when you have to make the decision the next day to go back. After you make that decision to go back the next day, okay, I've been going there for 3 months. What am I going to do outside the gym? That's what's really important. The food, the people, what you ingest. So I'm going to the gym, I'm working out. Oh man, I lost 20 pounds, but I've been working out 6 months and I'm stuck. Okay, where do your brain go next? Now you have to figure out, what do I do when I leave out of those gym doors? That's when I come in. That's when the mental state, what's going on with your body, the education of it, and what's happening. They're working out, they're getting stronger, but they haven't changed their food.
Or their friends. The way you talk about it, it makes me think of. I remember, I remember seeing this clip where Denzel Washington says, if you hang out with, four geniuses, you'll be the fifth. If you hang out with four idiots, you'll be the fifth. What you're saying sounds like to me that it's kind of an extension of that mindset. If you hang out with four unhealthy people, you'll be the fifth. The point of it is the people we spend time with can impact our fitness and ultimately our well-being, our physical and mental well-being. Is that fair?
Yes, it's true. Everything around you, everything around you affects you. I tell everybody, I ask everybody this when they start training with me: Are you married? Do you have children? Who do you live with? Because your surroundings are hostile. Because if you go home and you're married, you're on a diet, but your significant other isn't. I'm telling you, when you've been dieting for 3 months and you open that refrigerator and you see ice cream or brownies or anything like that, that's going to affect your mental state. You're going to want that stuff. So you have to be really strategic and careful about. I always tell everybody, whoever you live with, you have to be on the same page. They have to know what you're doing. They have to respect what you're doing because I'm telling you, those cravings are real. And when they start happening, I'm gonna tell y'all a story real quick. I was dieting one time, and my kids, they knew I was dieting, so they hid their candy from me from Halloween. And so the guilt that I had, I would wait till they fell asleep, and I knew the candy was in the drawer, and it was like Hershey's and Reese's and everything. So I didn't want them to see me eat it. So my daughter, she was like 14, but she'd stay on her phone like late to like 12 o'clock. So I would like fall asleep, and I knew she'd fall asleep at 12 o'clock. So I would wait at 12 o'clock, and I'd sneak in the room and I look in there and I saw her still on the phone. So I'm like, oh man, she'll be sleeping in like 5 minutes. And so finally she'd go to sleep, and I go in there and I take some of her Reese's. So probably 3 times went by, and then she caught on to me, and I went there to go find it, and there was no more Reese cups. So that's how real the cravings are, because if it's in the house, you will hunt it down. It is real. It's savage.
Yeah, yeah. So my wife is one of these people that she'll buy, cookies or whatever and forget that she bought them. I never once have bought a cookie and forgot I bought it. You know what I mean? Like if so she'll come in, later at night. I'm in there like a raccoon, like busted, with the lights come on,
Yeah, that's,
and so I'm sensitive to what you're saying, and so I've got to try to keep them from, or separate myself at least mentally from their habits sometimes. So I feel you with respect to that. Thanks for joining.